It's the NFL Daily with Chat Sports. Your friend Carter the Powers here, ready to talk Chicago Bears tackle football. Yes, the Bears just happen to be in the toughest division in pro football, the NFC North, and fresh off a Monday night victory against Washington, it's going down at Soldier Field against Minnesota. Okay, no teams under 500 in the North right now. It's two 2-1 teams getting down in the Windy City. So listen, we are chatting everything. And the only way for me to do this is with your comments. Yes, I reply to all of them. And let's start off with a very simple question. Who's going to win this Sunday at Soldier Field? Are you going with the Minnesota Vikings? Are you going with the Chicago Bears? Give me your prediction in the comments right now. Or initially, I went Vikings 17, Bears 13, because obviously Mitch Trubisky is the Chicago Bears quarterback. But my mind might change, okay? I have some betting info that you're going to want to hear here in just a moment. But first, let's run through the injury report. These are some players that did not practice on Hump Day, starting off with Taylor Gabriel. 3 touchdowns this past Monday, but he's still a little banged up with the concussion. Also, Akiem Hicks had a fumble recovery in that win, has a banged up knee. Eddy Pineiro, that right knee. The Bears finally find a kicker, and he gets hurt. Are you kidding me? And then Bilal Nichols dealing with the hand injury, and Mike Davis dealing with some personal reasons. That's why he wasn't there on Wednesday. Limited in practice was safety Eddie Jackson and wide receiver Cordarrelle Patterson. Eddie had a shoulder injury. Cordarrelle's dealing with a triceps. How many of you have ever hurt your triceps? Anyway, I'm not a professional athlete. And defensive end, Roy Robertson Harris has a glute injury. What's a glute? Is that gluten or whatever? I'm just kidding. Where is the glute, though? I should know this. I failed biology. Anyway, is that the subject? I don't know. Full participants in practice. This guy, obviously, we all know his injury history. Trey Burton. He was a full participant in Wednesday's practice, which was encouraging. But for me, if you're a fantasy owner of his, I don't know. You probably should look for some other options. We'll see what happens coming up on Sunday. Also, right tackle Bobby Massey. He was a scratch on Monday. Matt Nagy called it a small bout of vertigo. I thought that was just the name of a great movie from back then. But no, it's an actual thing. But he was a full go at practice. And left tackle Kyle Long. Yeah, we'll get to that story a little bit later. I can't help but laugh at that. If you don't know, we'll let you know in just a moment. But first, let's subscribe together. That subscribe button, you don't want to miss any Chicago Bears content now, do you? Subscribe, or go to youtube.com/chatsportstv. Now, let's get down to the money, okay? We're going to help you try and make some money off this weekend's matchup against the Minnesota Vikings with some Bet DSI info. The Vikings are 2-1, and obviously the Bears are at 2-1. This is a primetime Sunday afternoon game at 3:25 at Soldier Field. Now, that normal cold weather home field advantage won't be the same. Obviously, Minnesota plays in a dome. Chicago plays outdoors. So we won't have to worry about that because, well, the weather's not quite frigid yet. But right now, the line opened up Chicago Bears as a 3-point favorite. Then it squeezed on down to 2.5. And most books that I've seen has it at 2 with an over-under of 38.5. So I have 4 betting trends that will shock you because, like I said earlier, I thought the Vikings were going to win this game 17-13, but my mind slowly changed. But first, you need a place to make a wager, right? Well, BetDSI is a place to go. Yeah, they're the ones that are bringing you this video today. Yeah, the internet's #1 sports book. Get hooked up with a 120% deposit bonus by going to the website you see on the screen. That is chatsports.com/BET. Use promo code NFL120 and get free money to bet with. And win money on BetDSI when you place a wager on the Bears this week. Once again, that's chatsports.com/BET. Use the promo code NFL120 for a 120% deposit bonus with Chat Sports partner BetDSI. So, let me give you some info here really quickly if you want to bet the game. That was my bookie sending me a message saying, hey, what are you doing? You going to BetDSI now? What's up? Come over here. Sorry, Ralph. Anyway, the Vikings. Now, these numbers blew me away. And normally with trends, a lot of people like to get pretty frisky with trends and figure out, well, on this day when my uncle was watching the game, the Vikings covered this. You know, trends can get really stupid. However, these numbers blew me away. The Vikings are 1-4 against the number in their last 5 road games. The Vikings are 1-5 against the number in the last 6 games following a win. So, the Vikings have serious letdown value. Guess what? We're in that same position right now, aren't we? The Vikings are 3-13 against the number in their last 16 meetings in Chicago. So, Chicago has had their number at Soldier Field. And here's the biggest, because this is exact, recent to the date. Vikings are 0-4 in their last 4 meetings versus Chicago, period. So, you know, it's kind of weird because as a consumer, you see how bad Mitchell Trubisky plays. And for those that are big enthusiasts of the Bears, you focus in on how bad the offense is. But, you know, that home field advantage in Chicago really does play a big part into this number. So those are 4 stats for you. I think I'm going to stick with my Vikings 17, Bears 13 prediction. But everything says bet the Bears. Let's chat about this story because I find it fascinating. Matt Nagy addressed his heated exchange with Mitchell Trubisky. Okay, there's cameras everywhere. We all see it on Monday Night Football. And honestly, I didn't run this by the bosses, but I don't know if I should actually say what Matt Nagy said. So he said, man the F up right now. He was frustrated, okay? And that was during a timeout during the second quarter, and the cameras caught it. Guess what? There's back and forth all the time between players and coaches like that. However, Matt Nagy had a pretty interesting response for the choice words for his quarterback. And let me say this, okay? I think we've all seen enough where Matt Nagy has obviously been the coach for Chicago that has taken them to the next level. So if you're one of those people that says, well, I don't like my coach yelling at players, understand that there's a trade-off. Sometimes the more talented you are, there is more leeway. So here's what Nagy says. Sometimes I have a little bit of a heated side to me. Nothing is personal. Middle of the game, just us going at it. So he's being authentic with you. What else can you say? So, Matt Nagy, I'm sorry, and we'll get into this a little bit later. It's hard for me to be offended by anything like that. So, I think it's a little story. However, I do think he is really frustrated with Mitchell Trubisky's performance up to this point. Hey, I want to connect with you on social media. I am at Carter the Power. For all the latest news and rumors, follow me, WeChat, NFL, college, all that good stuff. At Carter the Power, Twitter, Instagram, Farmers Only, it doesn't matter. Find me, okay? Also, let's chat this story. We're going to run through it. Tarik Cohen was embarrassed about the IG Live, the Instagram Live photo of Kyle Long. So this was a story we were referencing earlier. Yeah, or a lot of you, I personally have not seen it. Kyle Long was caught naked because Mr. Cohen thought it was a great idea to shoot a film or an IG Live of him undressing off his pads. Well, guess what? It caught Kyle Long naked in the back. Now, here's the thing. Matt Nagy was obviously angry. This violates NFL policy. We all remember the Antonio Brown story from a few years ago. So, yeah, the locker room's a personal space. But can I say one quick thing? It is crazy how everywhere we go, there are cameras, okay? This should be a personal space. You should not film where other people are going to be nude. Unless, of course, you shoot those kind of videos in your free time. Anyway, the thing is, I want people to understand that there are cameras on doorbells now. On doorbells, okay? Where people can actually talk to you as you're walking in. There's cameras everywhere, okay? I saw someone that had a backup camera on a Civic the other day. Really? It's that advanced now? And that's something we all need to remember, is that every second, everywhere, we're being filmed. So, anyway, it is interesting that Kyle Long did something very smart, okay? He's made jokes about this, okay? He said to the media, I was embarrassed about this. And obviously he's made other jokes about on different podcasts and shows such as PMT. And I'm just glad that he took the high road. Just joke about it. It's out there. There's nothing you could do about it. Was your personal space violated? Does it bother you that happened? Are you mad at Tarik Cohen that it happened? Absolutely. Okay? But take a joke or joke about it yourself. Take the high road and move on, because you can't take it back. So, a very unfortunate situation, but I'm glad Kyle Long had made a joke about the whole thing. And to end things, we go from deep picks to racism. But I do want to address this today. The Bears respond to criticism over the throwback uniforms, racial history, okay? Now, let me preface by saying that every racial discussion is nuanced, and we all have opinions on it. So I want to discuss this with you in the comment section. We'll get to that in just a moment. But the Bears this Sunday, they're wearing 1936 uniforms against the Minnesota Vikings, part of the NFL 100 celebration. And there's outrage because the uniforms were worn in an era where only white players were allowed in the NFL from 1934 to 1946. Now, here's a fascinating thing about this story, is that the Bears, George McCaskey, decided to release a statement. This Sunday against the Vikings, our players will wear the 1936 classic jersey. That was from a time when, unfortunately, African Americans were not included on the Bears or other NFL rosters. Integration of the NFL and the Bears was too long in coming, but we're proud that this year's Bears will be the first African Americans to wear this jersey. Now, one important fact is that the Bears did not just decide, McCaskey just didn't decide that, hey, we're going to do this. The Bears have a social justice committee. They did discuss this, and they decided that we want to be the first black players to wear this uniform, which they are. A few weeks ago, whenever this was coming out, Tarik Cohen actually modeled in this jersey whenever they were announcing that this was going to happen. And, you know, I think that's the right thing to do. Obviously, you know, dealing with my own personal experiences with racism as a person of color, it's hard, it's tough. There's things that we're still fighting through to this day, and in so many different levels. But for me, I'm glad that these players are taking what most people would consider an innocent symbol and empowering it with their own image. And that to me is powerful. I'm fine with it. I have no problem with it. That was from a time when obviously we weren't as racially integrated. I think it's important that we learn from this and we hear from everyone's opinion. I know there's going to be a lot of fellow minorities out there that will disagree with me, that says, why would we honor something that was during a time that was so tough for blacks? And I totally get that. Trust me. However, I do think in this case, we had a discussion and more people are aware, and the fact that it's still going through shows the power of the players coming together and making this decision. So, I want to ask you, let's have an adult conversation in the comments. Is the perceived outrage over the 1936 jerseys justified? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'll say this. I'm a stand-up comedian, okay? I can't get outraged by stuff. It's just impossible. I've heard everything. People have made jokes about it. It's hard for me to be outraged. So it's hard for me to let you know how you personally feel about it. So, yes, it is justified. It was such a tough period. But is it the worst thing in the world? No. Okay? Not at all. All right. I am at Carter the Power. Let's connect. Subscribe to Chat Sports. Bears versus Vikings. We need your predictions. Okay? Let's do it.